Hello everyone, welcome to our channel CareersTalk. My name is Sunan Sharma and I'm a senior consultant based in Netherlands. And at CareersTalk, we invite people from around the world to share their real experience with all of us. Today we have Apoorva with us, who is a popular face on our channel. This is the sixth part of the series with Apoorva, who received 5 offer letters from various MNCs. So I will include the link to all 5 in the description box so you can check them later. Also, a small request, if you're new here, please subscribe to our channel. We have tons of valuable content for Scrum Masters. And if you find this session valuable, which I'm sure you will, please hit that like button. And friends, before we start, commercial. So if you're looking for career advice and you want to connect with me, please check the top mate link below in the description box or in the first pin comment to schedule a call with me. And we also have a lot of free digital resources for Scrum Masters on the top mate page. So you can download for free. So make sure to check my top mate profile. And if you want to join our WhatsApp community where we discuss and clarify doubts and share various job posting, you can become our YouTube silver or a gold member to get access. Okay, enough promotion. Let's dive in. Welcome, Apoorva. Thank you for
Hi,
joining us today, Apoorva.
hi, Sunal. I'm very happy to be back here again for another
Yeah,
session
long
with you.
time. Okay, great, wonderful. So, if you are ready, then let's go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. So, the very first question is the organization has been using Agile for 6 months, but some of the team members and the stakeholders doubt if it is effective. So, how would you check if Agile is working well in your organization? So, if you can give some examples of data or the feedback that would use to prove your findings, that will be great. So, yeah, over to you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Sunal. So here, actually, what I would try to do is we can measure them based on different perspectives or different areas. So first one I would start with is measure the business outcomes. So at the end of the day, whatever we do, the business has to flourish. We should see a growth in the business and the values and things like that. So how do we measure the business value now? You can check the delivery speed. I would always try to make a comparison between previous to now. So in the waterfall or hybrid or whatever model they were using before, how was the delivery speed? How often did they give back to the customers? And what is the delivery speed now? Expectation is in Agile, it should be much faster time to market. So that is one thing we can check. Then how much value is delivered? So in the traditional model, say if at the end of every year they are giving 10 or 12 features, in the same 1 year we are having, say, like incremental delivery. Every 1 month you have a delivery or something. So in the same 1 year, how many features you're delivering now? And the third one would be like market responsiveness, that the sales team or the after sales team gets to know that there's some changes required or new things that customers feel is a value add to them. So how long is it taking for us to get their feedback, process it, do the technical stuff, and give it back to the customers? How long is it taking as a duration? In an SDLC cycle, it has to go through all the waterfall steps and then deciding the release timelines and all. And now in the monthly smaller iterations, how it's working. So with these things, you can find out from a business angle, have we improved or not? The next pointer comes towards your team. How is the team doing? Like on the productivity trends, like your velocity, it'll be actually difficult in your waterfall model to actually see how productive your team is, because over the whole 1 year uh, there'll be a lot of ups and downs. But now we have sprints, shorter durations. You have things like velocity to calculate how a particular person has been delivering sprint on sprint. So how's their velocity going? And the second one is predictability. Probably at the beginning of their agile cycle, in the first or second sprint, they may not have been able to estimate well, or they might have overtaken or taken lesser than they actually can complete in a sprint. So how have they matured as a team? As and when in the last 6 months, have they been able to accurately estimate how long a story takes? And have they been able to complete the sprint goal which they actually agreed to? So those are some pointers which you can think. Sorry, guys, I have made a few pointers and I'm going through them so that I don't miss out any pointers to you. So please,
That's wonderful. That's okay. That's okay.
yeah. So next, you can check about gathering team feedback. All these metrics are fine, but as people, as a team, how are they feeling agile? Is it very crunchy? They're feeling the pressure because of the 15-day window, or are they feeling more empowered? Are they feeling that even as developers or PO, are they feeling it's easier to bring in changes? Is it easier to take in and incorporate comments from stakeholders and customers? So, what is their feel and take as an agile team? So, that is one thing which becomes very important for us to know if agile is working for this team or not. And then, as I already said, customer and stakeholder feedback is important. That is, again, it rolls back to how long you're taking to incorporate their comments and stuff like that. And process and flow improvements. Basically, for all these things to happen, you first, as a scrum master, I should still see if they're actually following agile, or in the name of agile, is it still another version of waterfall? So are they following the scrum values, principles, and all the ceremonies are they doing? Is it actually as per the scrum methodology? So just see if it's actually in the true spirit of agile. And the next is the organizational change and the cultural mindset. As a mindset, is the team still in the SDLC phase, in the silos? This is not my work. You shoot bullets at developers to testers. Is it still going that way, or they're still feeling like a one team? It's not about how many defects you raise or how many failbacks you're giving, but as a team, how much value are we delivering? Do they have that kind of mindset? And are they empowered to take decisions? Are they independent, or always are they leaning upon you as a scrum master to solve their issues and impediments? So thinking of all these things, all these aspects, maybe which will give you a clear picture whether agile is working for you or not. Over to you, Suran.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you for that elaborated answer. Great. So let's move on. So next question is, let's say during a retrospective, a team member say that the Scrum might not work well for some part of the product development. So how you are going to manage this kind of feedback? And do you also agree with their points? If you can share some thoughts or some examples from your real world situation, that will be great. Yeah, Purva.
Sure, definitely. First of all, I would start with acknowledging the team member, because that will help them encourage to speak out what they feel. It will encourage them with openness, transparency, courage, and all those things which we actually stand for in Agile. After acknowledging, then I would probably ask him, what do you actually feel is not working for you in Scrum? Why do you feel so? And definitely it is true, it may not actually, Scrum is a good methodology, but it may not work for every situation. Say if the project is in the beginning stages, they're doing R&D, they're deciding upon the architecture, the design, or which programming language to use. It takes much longer, and you really can't give that I'll complete in 1 month or 15 days. They will need their time to decide upon these things. Similarly, towards the end of it, when they're in production support and things are moving very fast, and you don't know, things are coming ad hoc, high priority things come ad hoc, then you can't say that these are the items I'm going to commit for this 15 days and that's it. That won't work. So we'll also have to see at which point the team is in their life cycle. So, given that if they are in the R&D kind of phase, what I would suggest is a hybrid model. If what he's saying is true, then we can say we can try a hybrid model. For the first part, you take it as a hardening sprint or sprint zero, take some time, finish your that work. Once you're ready to start developing features, then you can get into serious scrum. You can start sprinting with 15 days, you because you have the requirements ready, your programming language ready, your architecture ready. So all you have to do is get it down, minimize it into story level, see if the DOR is ready, and start sprinting. So again, once all the features are ready and you have delivered it to customer in the production phase, again, maybe you can use Kanban, because you will have to be flexible enough to take any high priority incidents that's coming up. So yes, that's how I would probably help them with the suggested uh, thing. And if they still want to use Scrum, if they still feel it's not that I don't want to take away Scrum fully, but somehow it's not working for me, then maybe you can say an adjusted cadence. Like you can, instead of a 15-day, make it a 3 week or a 1 month long session, if that's going to help your team. Maybe after some months, if you feel that you can reduce, then they can try it that way. And also, all the Scrum and Agile things are methodologies. They're not rules, they're guidelines. So you can actually tailor them as per the need of the team and help them to use it. And whatever you try, whatever suggestion you give, always you can make a pilot out of it. It need not be the next rule of the book. So you try it for a 2-3 months period, then we'll revisit again and make again finer changes as required. So these things will definitely help us to see what's not working for them and give them the best. Over to you.
Wonderful. Great. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Purva, for that. Okay. So let's move on. The next question is, let's say your team has a tight deadline and some of your members feel stressed. So as a Scrum Master, how would you support them? Like what action would you take to help them, both the team and your project in these kind of scenarios? Yeah.
The first thing probably I would do is empathize with them and acknowledge that the situation is there. It's not like you say that this happens in every project, we should be okay with it. That's not the thing. So you have to say, yes, we are in a stressful situation, we are in it together, so we'll face it together. And you be empathetic about whatever they are sacrificing in their personal life or anything for this particular issue. And you also promise them that we are going to find out what were the root causes during our retros or after we do the firefighting, and try and avoid such situations in future. So you're giving them an assurance that please put up with us now, so we'll try to find a better living situation going forward. So once they know that this is not going to become the way you're going to work, they'll be more supportive of you to start helping you out. That is the first thing I would do. Then probably I'll go back to the PO and reassess whatever backlog we have. Go back and ask them what are the most critical functionalities which you want before this deadline. So they can give us only the most important features which the team can concentrate at that point in time. And once that is done, I will probably shield the team from any external distractions like senior management coming asking for statuses, or somebody else coming in trying to put extra features into their bucket saying, no, no, this also has to be done together. That is one. And third, from management perspective, even if we say that these are the critical things, what PO has said, that's what we are going to give, they may not be okay with that. So we can give an MVP kind of approach, minimum viable product. The critical features will go now. After 15 days, these will go. Another 15 days, these will go. So with that staggered approach, team gets a little breather space, as well as the business and senior management team also will be a bit happy about it. And celebrate small wins, like they just completed all the P1s or the most critical ones. You can just throw a small pizza party inside the campus, something like that, to keep them happy. And also you can try something like workplace yoga or something which is like a stress busting kind of activities when they are here. And if my company is too much towards working from office during this tenure, I would definitely talk with senior management to give them work from home, because that itself will save them so much time of travel and all, which they can use for their family and personal use. And also sustainable pace. I would definitely not ask the team to continuously work throughout the weekend and get burnt out, and definitely they won't come back on Monday. So instead of that, throughout the week, you can spend 1 or 2 extra hours and keep only half a day of the weekend, and the other half day they can take rest. So that becomes a little more sustainable for them as a person. Uh, and I guess after everything and after we have done all the firefighting, definitely we have to go back to retros, why we landed in this situation in the first place. Try to come up with things where you can try to avoid such situations in future. So that's what I feel. Back to you, Sunil.
Great, Apoorva. Yeah, thank you for that. Great. Let's move on. So next question is on, let's say, sprint planning. So let's say during a sprint planning, you suggest an idea to improve the team's work, but then your team disagree and they suggest some other ideas. So how you are going to manage or handle these kind of situations. So how would you ensure that the team input is respected while the guiding them towards a solution that follow the scrum rules? Sometimes they propose something which you as a scrum master aware about that is going beyond the boundaries. So how you are going to manage these kind of scenarios? Yeah.
Okay. So again, in this case also, first point, I would like to acknowledge and thank the team member for coming up with a different solution. So then I would like to ask him, what are the shortcomings he's facing with my idea? So what are the things which he feels will not work if they implement my idea? And also, I would like to understand his idea more in detail. And as a team, we can discuss like what's going well and what they feel is they want to implement. If I feel it is going with the Scrum values, Scrum rules, there's no hard and fast rule that they have to go with the idea which I give. Again, we can pilot their idea for some time and see how it's working. Or we can take a middle ground, some parts of my idea and some parts of their idea collaboratively. If it's going to give us a win-win situation, nothing like that. But if they're really going out of boundaries, I try to gently coach them and tell them that this is what Scrum is asking us to do. And this is what business is asking us to do. We don't have so much time to keep on doing a trial and error. So this is a a successful approach, which I've already tried in a couple of other teams. Let's start with my approach. I definitely respect your ideas. If it's not still working, whatever is not working, surely we'll take up your ideas. So I think that's the best way to go about it. Uh, Coming to a real life example in such a case, like I was trying, there was a critical story which is going to take a long time and pretty complex also. So I suggested that we can give a pair programming approach where there were a lot of dependencies also in other teams. So instead of making one person responsible for it, two people will work on it. Some of them will write the unit test case, the other one will code and things like that. But one of the senior developers, he was so much to take that piece of work for himself. He wanted to do it alone. So he was pushing very hard that he wants to do kind of. So you can't say that being a senior, you can't say that you can't do it. Then I had a private conversation with him saying, yes, boss, we know that you are the kind of hero of the team here, but we also need to groom the juniors. If for some reason you have to go on leave, they have to be able to handle the situation when you're not there. So kind of, I guess his ego was a bit massaged. So he was okay to help the junior team members to write his unit test cases. He does the coding, then he asked them to do corrections on those and things like that. So yeah, that's how they took it.
Yeah, wonderful, Apoorva. And our next question is somewhat similar. So let's say you have joined a new team where some members have different work styles and the communication issues are there. So
Mhm.
again, how would you help your team to become high performing? And if you can share some immediate steps, would you like to take to solve these problems and build a strong team environment? So yeah, that will be great.
Okay. Step one, first of all, I would like to, before I jump into anything, I would like to observe the team, observe how the events are going. Is it getting time boxed? Are all of the members actively contributing to the discussions? And is the Scrum Master facilitating it? Does it have a proper focused objective to discuss on? And if there is any clashes between team members, I try to find out a pattern, like who normally gets sparked when who talks, or what that reason might be. So after silent observation, you get to know a pattern, a root cause of it. A root cause may be something like mismatched expectation from different team members. Somebody may be wanting to make a lot of features. The other person may be wanting to make one or two features, but it should be perfect. So that is a mismatched objective for them, or unclear sprint goals. So then it's actually not the team's fault. You'll have to go back to the PO to ask them to define the sprint goal properly. After that, then seeing that there's a lot of confusion in the team, we can get together and come up with something like a team charter. That's like ground rules. Like what are the main things you do when you start talking? You don't go outside the boundaries. Everybody has to get a chance to talk and something like that, which everybody agrees on, so that they get a common ground to start from. So you come up with a team charter, and because there's a lot of friction in the team, maybe you can decide on some team building activities where they can get to know each other. Team building again is not just fun activities. You need to get to know the other person as a person. So what are their hobbies, what are their interests, what puts them off, what intrigues them, things like that. So normally in my team, even though we don't have the situation, what I normally do is during our retros, instead of directly going to what went well, what did not go well, I start with a question every time. Everybody has to answer the same question. Like, what is your most fun sport, or what makes you so happy? They answer that part first, and then they go back to the retro part. So without them, they are giving more information about themselves to the entire team. So they feel they know about each other a lot. And after about 6 months, what happened? We got to know many people were interested in trekking. So they all have made a group now. They go trekking every once a month or something like that. So even though if it's not official, it's become a team building activity for them. And now, since in this particular case, since there's a lot of conflicts, we can try to bring in some personality assessment like this MBTI indicators. It is called Mayer-Briggs type indicator model, where you have 16 type of indicators. So you can try to put people into different everybody is in the team, so everybody is able to see who is getting into which slot. So they get to know, because of this person's personality he's behaving like this. It's not that he actually wants to offend me. So that way they get a different perspective about each person, so the conflict will reduce. And the other thing is, when you are observing all this, you get to know what is their weaknesses, what is their strengths, what are they actually interested in. Probably you can do some reshuffling. Somebody who is very fast paced can get into kind of production support, kind of firefighting mode. Somebody who is very much into deep digging, you can give him design kind of activities. So when you put them in their areas of strength, definitely they perform better. And also some conflict resolution frameworks like this 5 why network. Like, you keep asking why question till you get to the root of the problem. Or you have something called the crib, that you commit to a cause, then you recognize what is the differences you're facing, then you invest in a plan, and then you brainstorm and improvise on it. Mediation framework and Thomas Gilman network. So many of these frameworks for conflict resolution is there. You can go through internet, you get multiple of them. Whichever you feel will be most useful in your case, probably you can try one of them and see if the conflicts and frictions reduce in your team. That's all, Sunan, for this.
Wonderful, Apoorva. I really like those examples which you have given. So yeah, wonderful. Okay. So yeah, friends, we are halfway through our session, and if you are still here, it means you value our content. So I see no reason that you would not subscribe and motivate us by hitting that like button. Let me take a pause. Please subscribe and hit that like button. Okay, now that you have done that, let's move on to our next question. So Apoorva, our next question is, some developers avoid attending the daily scrum because they feel it is waste of time. So how would you deal with these kind of team members, and what action would you take to make the daily scrum valuable and get the team to participate? Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is probably one of the most common ones. Maybe many teams will be facing. And normally, though, the main guys who will not be attending is either they're very senior or they're very introvertish. They don't want to be a part of that, and they'll feel it's a time waste because they feel they are quite self-sufficient to do their work themselves. They don't need to know what others are doing, probably. So what I would do is I'll get into a one-on-one with these people, why they are constantly losing out on the daily stand-ups, and check with them. Maybe they will be feeling something is not value adding for them. What is that non-value adding? Or because the time boxes are not normally respected, you would have always scheduled the call for 15 minutes. It always goes more than 35 minutes, and they're getting pissed off. That may be a reason. or there's no proper objective. You start with something like a status, or talking about a particular ticket somebody is talking about, then somebody chips in saying what happened to that ticket, then some a blocker is there, it goes off like that, and there's nobody to pull them back and say that boss, we'll talk about that later, we'll finish this. So that they may be feeling that it's irrelevant for them. By the time their chance comes, they're already out of the box. So that may be a reason. Or this lack of outcomes, or maybe they are saying that this is where I'm blocked, or this is the dependency I have, and as a scrum master, maybe I am missing it or not helping them enough to get out of their impediments, or at least empowering them to solve the impediments themselves. That may be a reason. So what's the point? Whatever I say, it's not going to help anyway. I have to fight my battle. I'll do it outside this meeting. Why should I attend it? That could be their attitude. Or as I said, irrelevant discussions. So what I would do in this case is uh, try to reiterate the goal of the daily stand up to the team first. Why we are here, not to discuss about every technical issue or every business issue there. You're just there to discuss and plan for the next 24 hours. If there's any impediments or dependencies, how you're going to solve them. Let's stick to that. That's all we would do. And in some particular case, like the mine right now, you have almost 12 members in the team. So how much ever you're going to reduce it, it's going to go more than 15 minutes because of the sheer size of the team. So what normally I do is I ask the team to update their Jira cards earlier on itself, like especially with re-estimates and the deadline, like when they are planning to complete it. So when there is a ticket we are talking about today, and they have given the date they'll be completing is next Tuesday, that's about 4 days later. There's no point digging and digging on the same ticket. They would have just started off now. So you just quickly take an update saying, okay, I'm working on it, no blocker. Finish. Go to the next one. Only when there is a blocker, only when there is a dependency on some other team, and what where I can step in, only in that particular case we are going to elaborate a little and take a little more time to discuss that. So that way you can actually reduce the time as much as possible and keep it as relevant as possible. And some people, they want to discuss with the tester, or their respective tester, the developer wants to discuss. So such discussions will keep it towards the end of the stand up. Once everybody is done with their updates, we can ask the rest of them to drop off. Only the other two can continue. So that will respect everybody's time in the team. Other than that, you can also try to improve the format, like some very flowery ones, like there's a walking stand up. Everybody is not sitting down, they become drowsy. You just walk around, do some activity kind of thing that makes you more intrigued, more energetic to participate in the stand up. And as I said, your Jira tickets can be updated earlier on hand, things like that. Yeah, with all these, and telling him, the person or whoever is not attending the daily stand up, what he is missing on, how it is important to be informed about what others are doing. He never knows. There may be another person working on the same ticket as he is doing right now. They're just duplicating efforts, or both of them may be having the same dependency. So, to know these updates, he has to be part of that event. So, with those things told to him, and me also taking some action items, I think the situation will improve.
Wonderful, Apoorva. Great. Okay, let's move on. This one is pretty interesting. So let's say you notice that there is another Scrum Master in your organization, and he or she is not running the Scrum events well or helping the team to grow. So, what signs would you show that they are not doing their job well, and how would you help them as a colleague or as a mentor? Yeah.
Okay. So there are some pointers where you can see, first starting with your Scrum events, how it's being run. Is it happening whenever it had to happen? Like at the beginning of sprint, is the sprint planning happening at all in the first place or not? Then even if it is happening, are they respecting the time box? Is the objectives clear, what they have to discuss in that particular meeting? And do they have a proper takeaway from that meeting? Are all the team members actively collaborating in that meeting? So if any of these pointers are not going a good way, there is some problem there. So that is one pointer. Second one is on collaboration. Like or the lack of support to the teams from the scrum master. They say there's an impediment, there's no response from the scrum master, or there are some senior members trying to influence the team, adding new stuffs to them in between the sprint. They are not shielded by the scrum master, or this team itself is finding it very difficult to collaborate with other teams who on which they have dependencies or blockers, and there's no sign of scrum master anywhere in this whole struggle. So these definitely show that there is something lacking from the scrum master side, and probably misapplication of scrum also. Either the scrum master is micromanaging and asking the status of every task, how many hours you spend. You said 30 hours you'll spend, you have spent 28 already, it is still not done. That kind of micromanagement. Or he's not there anywhere in the scene at all. People are just doing whatever they feel like. And the stand-up meetings have become status meetings rather than discussing what they are going to do for the next 24 hours and discuss about impediments. uh, and overly strict adherence to scrum rules. Very, very bookish scrum master. Probably some of the new scrum masters may show this kind of this one because they have just finished their PSM or CSM. They are equipped with all the rules. No, you are not doing this. This is not the way scrum has to go. We need to understand that it is a nutshell. They're
It's
giving us.
it's written in a Scrum guide. That's the statement most of the time.
Yes, it is in the Scrum guide. You have to go like this. But many times you forget that it is a guideline. It is not a hard and fast rule. You have to be with the team. You should flow with the team and tailor your processes as which gives maximum value to the team. So if these are some anti-patterns from a Scrum Master's perspective, if these things are there, again, how to address it. First, I would probably talk to the Scrum Master one on one. Normally, you would get to know that they are new to the organization. They don't know how the framework is working. They may try to implement what they were doing previously, or it is a new Scrum Master who has just read and he's going by the book. So, if I try to coach them, I'll ask their permission if I can be a silent observer in their Scrum events. Then, so that I can make some particular notes and then catch up with the scrum master and tell him like see, it was becoming more like a status meeting. What can you do differently so that team becomes more actively participating? They feel there's more value add from your stand-ups. Such intriguing questions, some of them. And you gather information or feedback about him from the team. What do you feel about this person, or how do you feel working with him? Is he engaged? Is he helping you as a scrum master? With all these feedback about him, you come up with a plan, which is a quite realistic plan. You give him enough time, come up with a proper plan. This is the issue, this is how we will try to solve, and go back with him for follow-up calls. And if you really see that he has put in some effort, acknowledge it, saying that yes, I see that you're trying to improve, that's a very good thing. Keep trying and you'll definitely match up. After doing all these also, if you still feel basically this person is not at all interested and the team is suffering, the last resort you should do is escalate on him, because we know escalation is not at all a good way in the servant leadership types. But if the team is suffering, if the organization is suffering, and as the end product, the product will suffer, then I think you have already seen a concern, you have tried to help it. If it's not working, you should tell your senior management. That's what I feel about this.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Apoorva, for that. Okay, so let's move on. The next question is, I think it's most asked in a lot of interviews that will be definitely there. So that's why it's here now. So you are in a retrospective. Your team members are either too quiet or they are like too much full of info. So that's make it hard to get a useful feedback or sometimes the action items or the action points. So what would you do to make your retrospective first of all engaging, and you have to ensure that they lead to a useful improvements over the period of time? Yeah, Purva.
Yes. So as I already told you earlier, during my retrospective that I'm currently running, we I don't normally, some of them do something like an icebreaker. You play a game and then start off with your serious stuff. So I feel rather than what people were doing in that mode is they loved the first part of it, the fun part. Then they'll all get quiet. They'll start doing their coding or testing or whatever. So instead, what I have tried to do is ask intriguing questions or something that tells about their life, their attitude about something. I give a scenario and say how you would react to this. Say tomorrow you just get out of bed and you see a lot of termites in your house. How will you react? Everybody wants to know what the other person's response will be. So it's not like first the game, everybody will answer and then we'll get into the retro. When you give a person the chance to speak, first he'll talk about the termites, what he's going to do about it. And then he'll also give his retro points. Earlier, what I used to do is I used to share the retro board earlier before we met, where they could put in all their stuffs earlier throughout the day and then we could discuss. As in when I saw the number of cards coming in started dwindling down, and when we were discussing also, it was becoming very boring and dry. So what I do now is I don't send it to anybody. I share my screen. The board is there. After they talk about this fun part or whatever exercise we have, like the termites, then they will tell you, please give me your updates about what went well, what did not go well, what you feel like has to improve. And I have added one more extra column to make people feel appreciated. And also, I want to thank. That is one more extra thing I have added this time from couple of months. So now they are always starting with good things and whom they want to thank. And ideally, you see, if that is also an indicator. If every other person is thanking every other person, it means the team is collaborating well. So that way I get an idea. Or if everybody is thanking one person, he'll become the bottleneck in future. I get to know that. So, or even otherwise, it's a feel good factor when people are thanking you, appreciating you. So that way also it works. So I, on the fly, keep typing whatever they give, whatever they feel good, and whatever they do not feel good. And if somebody else also feels the same, something did not work well, like some dependency on service, it blocked almost 8 stories about 2 sprints ago. So everybody says, yes, it happened to me also, me also, me also. So I don't add that sticker 100 times. I just do +1, +2, +3, +4. So some ticket with lot of pluses means it's a very high severity one, which is that is one ticket you have to address after the red. So that's how I identify the top root causes. You go, and also in this method everybody gets a chance to talk, so nobody is left behind, and everybody wants to hear the other person because of the first part. They want to know what happened to the termite in the other person's house. Then also decide, since already they're in that groove already, they're okay to listen for another 2 minutes for their actual retro points. So with this we have been able to get to the bottom of the root causes and also address them. It has been really working out for us.
Wonderful. Great, Purva, sharing for that. Okay, okay. Next question. Let's move on. So, after working with their team for several sprints, you realize or you see that they are not improving in some of the key areas. So, how would you figure out where to improve as a Scrum Master to better help your team? Or if you can give some examples of the feedback or the self-reflection, would you going to use? That's really going to help us. Yeah.
Yes, yes, that's definitely required. Any role, probably we have to self-retrospect and self-reflect on what we have done, how we can improve things. And especially in a case where you feel that things are not improving the way you wanted them to, it's more the reason that you have to do that. So how I would go about this is, this mainly goes by the team's feedback. So you go to team for a feedback, stakeholders for a feedback, customers for a feedback of how they feel, one, about you as a scrum master, two, as a scrum team, how they are faring, and three, as a product or as a project, how things are moving. So you ask them such feedbacks from them, and also through your retros, and probably you just send out feedback forms, and they can stay anonymous. They can just send put the feedback in a shared repository where you just get the feedback, because many people, they just don't want to say who is telling it, but they still want to voice something. So anonymous feedbacks is also very important. Then that is one point, taking feedbacks from people, you'll get one set of pointers. Then I would observe the team dynamics. how they are handling blockers over the time. Have they become independent or empowered, or are they still relying on me for every small thing? I would always expect the team to try first. After one or two trials, if it's getting still blocked, nobody is responding, then they come back to me. Instead, there are some teams where they just see that, okay, for this I need an RCS ticket or a service ticket. Please go and get that for me. That becomes more of a clerical job for you running about every team. So that is not what I expect. If that is happening, definitely that is the area where we have to improve, where they become more independent. And how are they collaborating during the events? As you all the way through now, we were discussing about people not collaborating, conflicts, and healthy conversations. Even when there is a conflict, how maturely the team is handling that. So that is one way we can. That is one set of pointers. Then again is a self reflection. How am I facilitating when there's a new person coming into the team? How am I coaching him? Or if there is a set of impediments the team has already tried and come back to you, how am I trying to solve that? Is it really helping them out? Are they feeling you as a value add? Because in the scrum team, except the scrum master, everybody else is technical. That is, either they're developing, testing, writing stories, doing something else for the product. Only you are the person who is set to take care of all the other sanity around and keep the team together like a glue. So it is very likely they feel that this is the only person who is not doing any work in the team. Only we are working. So do they have that feeling, or they know what you're doing? They will know what you're doing only if they feel that you're giving them some value. So that sense you can make out, right, in the team when you're talking to them. Are they talking to a not so important person, or they're talking with respect and feel that you're going to give them back something? So that gut feel is important, how you feel things are going for you. And how to improve. You may be doing good facilitation, but after some time things become stale. Like I said before, I was sending retrospective forms earlier on the day, and later on, people stopped updating it. So it becomes stale after some time. The same thing over and over again, because sprints are repetitive, right? Years together, if you do the same thing, people get bored. We also get bored. So try new facilitation style. Try new tools, techniques, to make something new and sparky for the team. And to know if you have empowered the team, just take a step back. Whenever they always used to come back to you, just say that try to handle it yourself this time. Go back and see what happens. Or the best time to see if they have been doing well is when you're on vacation. When you're vacation, just see the team has gone haywire when you were not there, or they're just handling it quite fine when you're not around. So that means they're empowered. And always I what I do is I create a personal development plan for myself, doing the same thing over and over through sprints and years. I think we also get stagnant. What is the next certification I want to do, or how next can I help the team do? Is there any new technology for a scrum master to bring in new tools to the team which can reduce our effort on reporting, or some AI tools which can transcribe your meeting, things like that, which can make your life easier, and probably something new so you get also more excited to do your job. Yeah, so I think these are the things I would do to help the team to improve better.
Great long list. Okay, thank you for sharing. Okay, so now we came to our last question of the day. So in a scaled agile setup, you need to define matrices to measure the team performance and how well Scrum is working in your organization. So what matrices would you use, and how would you use them to improve both team performance and Scrum best practices? So if you can share some examples of the matrices which you have used successfully, that would be great.
Sure. So many matrices, what work for a individual Scrum team will also work for the art or the scaled agile team. Just to start off with a basic introduction for safe, how it will be. You have a normal Scrum team which works by itself, delivers sprint on sprint. You just imagine a couple of teams like that, 10 to 12 teams, they together form a release train that is called the agile release train. That is an art. So all the art teams, each of it will have a scrum master. All of them report to a person called the RTE, or the release train engineer, uh, who is like a scrum master for all the scrum masters. So all of these teams will be working on different components of one big product. Okay, it's like one big elephant. One person is working on the ear, the other person is working on the tail, one is working on the legs. So every just like the way you have your daily stand-ups, the entire safe will have 1 day per week, normally a weekly connect, which is called the scrum of scrum. All the scrum masters come, give updates about their particular teams to the RTE, and whatever dependencies or issues you have, blockers you have, you discuss in that particular call. So normally what the art does is whatever metrics they have for one team is not like each team has their own metrics. It will be the same set of uniform metrics throughout the art. All the 8 to 10 projects in that art will have to report the same metrics. And all the 8 to 10 projects will start their cycles on the same day and end it on the same day. So the 8 to 10 sprint reports go together to the management to decide how the art as a whole is performing. So coming back to your art metrics now, team level metrics, which means all the 7, 8 teams will report all these metrics. That is sprint goal success rate. So you have committed to a particular sprint goal that will be finishing 3 features and some technical story and some NFR. I'm just giving an example. If that is the sprint goal, how many times have you been able to achieve the sprint goal in the last 6 months? So every sprint you keep on giving your values met, not met, met, not met. It will develop a graph for you. So it tells out of 12 trains, out of 12 months, how many teams in the train were able to achieve the sprint goal, which means most of them, if they are able to meet the sprint goal, as an art, you will be able to meet your product goal towards the end of the journey. And the success rate, like whether you are overcommitting or undercommitting, that again comes down to your sprint goal only. If you're overcommitted, definitely you wouldn't be able to meet your sprint goal. If you're undercommitted, you would have finished all your work earlier itself, and you'll do stuffs like some bug fix, something which is not planned for the sprint, which is also not good. And then the velocity trends, this is common, I think, for every scrum team, whether it is safe or not safe. You see how the velocity is going sprint on sprint. Is there is it consistent? First of all, it should not be coming down, it should not be erratic. And with time, like in an year, if you see, there should be a gradual increase. Because why the team has to increase its velocity gradually is, today it is a new team, they're working on it for the first time, but after 12 months they have gained that much technical knowledge, product knowledge. So they are expected to do things faster, more efficiently. So today, if they're doing 35 story points in the sprint, after 12 months, at least 42 story points you can expect. So are you seeing that gradual trend? If every team in the art train are seeing that trend, then which means that as a art team, we are maturing. So that's what it shows. That is team level metrics. And if you are having Kanban boards, you'll be also measuring cycle time, like the time from which a ticket has come into your queue till the time it goes out of your queue, how long it has taken. Or how from the time you start working on the ticket till the time you're closing the ticket. Escape defects, that is before production and after production. Before production, how many defects you got in your SIT, UAT, and post prod, how many did you get? Ideally, it should be very less compared to how much you have done in your lower environments. Expectation is you should capture more defects in your lower environments and almost zero or very less post production. This, I think, will hold good for every team, whether they're doing agile or not agile also. Then you have some org level metrics, which also kind of is an analogy for the art level metrics. That is for the entire release train, time to market. After you do all of this exercise, you do PI planning, that this every team you are collecting metrics and all. What is your time to market? How fast are you able to deliver? Is it in MVPs or every increment? Again, here also in next 2 to 3 years, in the first MVP, you might have taken a lot of time because that's the first set of crucial functionalities you're giving. Then you decide that every 1 month I give these an increment. Then probably after 2 years, the team is really matured. Every 15 days, you might start giving. now if you see, I think Amazon and some big companies, they're doing multiple production releases per day. So their release trains are really, really fast and matured. So that gives you how matured your team goes. And release predictability, like how you say that I'm going to go for a release at the end of Feb. How many times are you able to keep your promise, and how many times you are rescheduling that? So that gives you release predictability. That again boils down to the granular level, how well your team has been able to estimate your planning, your maturity, and things like that. Then definitely how much business value is delivered. If you how many features you've been able to deliver in each iteration or in each increment. And finally, dependency management. The entire art, sometimes all the teams in the release train will be dependent on a particular third party vendor. In our case, we had a platform guy. It was a new platform. He kept changing his releases. That would affect all the teams down the line. How you're going to handle it? We finally had 3 people from their team come down and started working with us, one person in each of the other teams which were really dependent on them. And then we had weekly cadence calls with them. We got a digital board set up for them to see how many tickets are coming in, going out. Like any other production project, we started tracking their matrices, and that had a penalty for him. So that's when things started improving. So yeah, these are some of the things which you can measure as a safe project.
Great, wonderful, Apoorva, for that detailed and elaborated answer. Great. So yeah, with this, I think we came to our end. So thank you, Apoorva, for this amazing session, and thank you, friends, for joining us for today's session. And we hope you found it helpful, informative. And if you enjoy the session, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And we hope to see you in our next session. Until then, take care. This is Sunan Sharma signing off. Bye bye. Thank you, Apoorva, one more time.
Thank you.